See, it works until I record, and then you start freezing up. It's like it puts a little extra load on it.
That's what she said.
Check it out, everybody. Welcome back to the S3 Magazine podcast. I am Wooly. That goofy looking dude over there with the short hair is Mike Sanders. I don't really know what the topic is today. He briefed me on it for about 20 seconds, about 20 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go with it. Um, Essentially, Australia, particularly specifically Southern Australia, made a law that applies to high horsepower cars. Take it away, Mike?
Wow, that introduction was terrible. Anyway, yes, you are correct. So South Australia is enacting a law. I'm not sure when it's going into effect exactly, but it is targeting drivers of ultra high performance vehicles. And what they're doing is they're making everyone get an additional driver's license in order to qualify for driving that vehicle. Now, what makes an ultra high performance vehicle? It has to do with power to weight ratio. So I think I saw, I don't remember which cars they are, but there are some cars in there that are super, super lightweight. And even though they only make, 300 horsepower, they qualify for it just because their power to weight ratio is so kind of crazy, which is funny. I think I also saw that certain Porsches qualify for it, but then like the GT3 RS does not because it doesn't quite have the power to weight ratio to quite get in there, which is kind of funny because that's the actual race car. Anyway, this U license thing, I saw the headline of it and it immediately made me go, damn, you know what? This is what I've been screaming for the United States to do for so long. First of all, we need our driving tests to be more difficult. And second of all, if you're going to drive a big ass 8,000 pound Tahoe or a freaking 10,000 pound Cybertruck or, a Mustang, anything that really has the opportunity to hurt other people, like, we need to know that you're good behind the wheel, that you're not going to sit there just kind of on your phone or doing your makeup or eating a salad or just in general be terrible at driving the entire time. So additional driving tests, I think, is a great idea. What's not a great idea is the way that it looks like Australia is actually implementing this. It's one of those things where the headline sounds a lot better than what they're actually doing. We'll get to that in a minute. So back to the U license. So it looks like first-time offenders who are caught driving their vehicle without getting this U license will be subject to a $1,700 fine. The second time you get popped, it's going to be up to a year in jail. So again, this is something that I think would be awesome in the United States. You want to curb Atlanta traffic? You want to get people to stop driving like jack wagons out there and clogging up 85 all the time? Threaten them with a big fat fine and jail time. That's a great way to keep people actually focused on the road and moving in the right direction and not screwing up my commute. Okay. So now to what Australia has kind of gotten wrong about this. It really feels like it's just a very politicized idea for optics, because when I looked into it more, and I got notes back here, so I'm sorry if I'm not looking at the camera here, but it says it consists of online training and the test. However, you do not have to prove that you have better driving skills, because the test is dedicated to explaining the function of the active safety systems. That's really what it comes down to. They just want you to be able to prove that you can properly use and understand the safety systems. On top of that, Australia is also making it illegal to disable any automated intervention systems. So like traction control, lane keep assist, all that annoying crap that you want to turn off, especially on like a fun mountain road. It's going to be illegal to do it. And by the way, since all these cars very, very soon are going to be able to talk to each other and the police, your car is going to tattletale on you when you do turn it off. So I originally saw this headline and was like, hell yeah, Australia's doing something awesome. And now I'm just like, oh my God, they still suck. So yeah, that's basically the introduction to this whole thing. But I wanted to do a podcast on it because I do like the idea, the premise of more driving tests, because the US, man, so many people here are just hilariously bad drivers. Hilariously is the wrong word because it's not freaking funny anymore. The traffic is out of control. There's too many people. There's too many cars on the road to be as shitty as you guys are. It should not be allowed, and we need to have big repercussions for it. Take it away.
Yeah, I think that this country in particular has really done a disservice. Like everybody has done a disservice to everybody else by blaming speed. We
Mm-hmm.
immediately, as lawmakers and just as citizens, we blame speed for danger. Speed is it can be a contributing factor to danger, but speed can also keep you safe. Being slow can be a contributing factor to danger in the real world just as much as speed can, but we don't acknowledge that. We don't talk about that. Distraction can absolutely is probably the main danger on the road. And we do talk about distracted driving. Like in Georgia, you're not allowed to hold a cell phone, a mobile device while you're driving. But yet we put 20-inch screens in cars. Where I drove a Lincoln Nautilus press car where the air conditioned vents had to be controlled by the screen electronically. You had to go to the part of the screen with the climate control, and then you had to open it up so it would become the
Yeah.
whole screen, and then it was a picture of your dash on the dash. A picture of your dash on the dash. Do we realize
Dude,
how stupid that is? And you had
that
to touch, hold on, you had to touch the AC vent, which was the one you wanted to move, and you swiped, and then you would see it electronically move. That is dangerous.
yeah.
Why do we let that be sold in the same car that beeps at you for changing lanes if a car is too close?
Mm.
It's an oxymoron. With the focus on moron. Like you cannot. Like we have got to common sense leadership. That's all it needs. It doesn't need to be politicized. There doesn't need to be an EPA or some government agency that's trying to make themselves useful and just fucking it all up. There's too many hands in the pie. We just need common sense when it comes to driving. Our
Mm.
population is not going down. Somebody said something that struck me today that somebody was complaining about Atlanta traffic, and somebody was like, think about what this is going to be like in 20 years. It's not a problem that's going away. So you have two choices. You can accept that people are going to be ignorant and just get dumber and be okay with that and try and band-aid it with technology, or you can train people to live up to their potential and actually not be an idiot. Like people, there are a lot of dumb people, but driving isn't a right, it's a privilege. That's why they can take your license away if you screw up, if you get caught doing something stupid. So I think we need to, this isn't a case of, every kid gets a trophy. Like, this is serious. Like, there are real repercussions to dangerous, unqualified, distracted drivers. And we've got to tackle that. I think that we need to stop blaming speed for everything and continue to slow the cars down, because all that does is let people be more distracted. So that's not really the answer. uh the answer is driver training. Like, I know it's an inconvenient truth, but we need to train people. Cars are larger than ever, they're faster than ever, they're heavier than ever, especially if you're driving an EV. There is danger out there. They're more distracting than ever. And yes, we have technology to kind of, cover our mistakes, but come on, the human is the pilot of the vehicle. The human is should be attentive and qualified to drive the car. I don't know if the government is qualified to train people. We got to look at that whole thing.
That's
But I mean, honestly, dude, like, what is the American driver's test in 2024? It's basically, do you understand the road signs? Okay.
yeah.
Can you come to a complete stop and then turn right or left? Okay, you're good. You're not good. Like, it takes a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And I think we're stifling human production, man. Like we cannot. We've talked about this in podcasts. Like we, as a society, we cannot cater to the lowest common denominator. I know that that's mean, and there's some things that we need to figure out and acknowledge, and there does need to be some human compassion. You can't just be like, "Lady, you're old and stupid and slow. You got to go." Like we can't really do that. That's somebody's grandma. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, if you're dangerous to everybody else, you can't just be nice because that old lady's also on the road with your daughter or your son or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that lady, as an example, can get somebody killed 5 cars behind her. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, we got issues. We got big issues, and it's a lot more than speed. And I feel like the way our government is making laws, the direction this is going to go is let's just put more tech into cars, and the
Mhm.
tech will make them do what they're supposed to do and notify us if they're not, and we'll send them a ticket. Like that's the way it's going.
Yeah, and the whole idea of blaming speed is pretty asinine to begin with. Take Germany for example, the autobahn, which on most parts of it literally has no speed limit at all. They crash cars at a way lower rate than we do here in the United States. Way lower. So right there, that kind of kills a lot of the speed argument. And
Well,
then the whole technology thing, again, man, it almost feels like these automotive manufacturers are going out of their way to make cars that are as distracting as possible. It's almost like they think that the cars already drive themselves, and then the people inside just need to have every single comfort and every single distraction at their disposal. I'm not sure if they're preparing for what the future is going to be or if they truly think that it's not a problem. But yes, the driver inside is extremely distracted, especially when it comes to all the shit that's beeping at it from saying what's going on the outside of the car. I mean, dude, knobs and buttons are so much better than we give them credit for. Like, I understand that everybody had kind of fell in love with the touch and the feel and the sound of these touch screens. It all kind of started with the BlackBerry, with that, when they first started doing that. And everybody's very addicted to the actual screen and how it works now. Everybody wants everything to be like an iPhone. But knobs and buttons, whenever you're trying to do something else, are so just perfect. You know where it is. It's always in the exact same spot. You know the feel of it. You know how to use it quickly on the fly. You don't have to look at it. I mean, I used to, back in the day, dude, I used to drive around in my little DSM with my flip phone in my right hand. I'd have my left hand on the steering wheel, driving where I'm going, and I'm shifting gears while sending text messages to people with my right hand. Because with those old flip phones, you just, if you want the letter C, you hit that, I believe it was the number 2 3 times. It was ridiculous. It was like Morse code. But you could do it without your eyes leaving the road because it was buttons. You knew where they were and you knew what the code was to do it. So it made life a lot safer and a lot easier. Now you have to literally eyes off the road going 80 miles an hour and just hope we don't plow into something. I mean, it's ridiculous.
yeah. Um, I don't. I think the automakers are just trying to sell cars. I think it comes to that simple. Look, I was talking to somebody. We were at a Jeep meet tonight, and I started talking like, how do people today that buy all of these generic ass crossovers, how do they even decide which one they want? Because they're all the same. That's an honest question. How do you zero in? I drive a lot of these things as press cars. They're all the same inside too. The
Yeah.
interior is always black. It's the same shape with the same screen in the center and a bunch of cup holders. Like there is nothing that differentiates cars. That's probably part of why I got so excited about the Maverick because there was orange and white in it. And it's that simple. Like it was like, holy crap, this is different. I'm excited because nothing is different. Every automotive interior is clinical. They're trying to be sophisticated, but they can't think outside of an iPhone mentality. Sophisticated to them is an iPhone and a brand new iPhone box, and that's all they can see. That's
Mm-hmm.
all they can design with. They do not have the creativity to think outside of that right now. So we're driving around in generic crossovers. The screen is what sells the car. Look at them. Freaking look at all these stupid crossovers. Pick one. It doesn't matter. You're buying it on screen. So, oh, I like that one because it has orange right there, and whatever. It looks like a little Edison light when I do this, and that's cool. So I'm gonna buy this whole $55,000 car because of it. But that's what's
Yeah.
selling it. It's not
Mhm.
the car. Car makers are not selling these crossovers on the merit of the crossover. They're
Yeah.
selling them on financing terms and the screen size and
Hmm.
the headlight shape on the gaudy grill. Like that's
Yeah.
about it. That's what's selling cars right now. So I think that in order to compete, they have to have a more dazzling screen. And is the more dazzling screen dangerous? Yes, but they're not gonna they're not going to lose sales to make a safer product until they're forced to. And
Yeah.
our government, all the governments of the world, instead of targeting that and being like, that's dangerous. A driver is a pilot. A pilot needs knobs and instruments. They instead they're going, well, slow them down and make sure that the car keeps them in their lane and beeps at them when they back up and beeps at them when they go forward. And it's
Well,
getting insane. It's running the price of cars up. It's creating a whole lot of problems. It's creating high car payments that cut into people's lives and their freedom. It's better drivers would
yeah.
just start to solve so many domino effects of problems.
Well, and this whole thing now about them making it illegal to disable any of the extra add-ons that the driver assist kind of stuff, that's pretty ridiculous because all that stuff that's a lot of technology and sensors that you are paying for to put into those cars that you now can't turn off if and when you want to. So you're like, let's say you go buy, a new muscle car. Let's just say a Mustang or a Corvette or something, right? You spend all this money on the car itself, and a lot of that money is going towards all the extra tech that goes into it. And you want to go out and have some fun in this car, and it is now illegal for you to disable your traction control to go on a mountain run with your buddies. I mean, it neuters the car. Like in a high horsepower car, let's just say it's a supercharged Mustang, because I have one of those. If your traction control is on, first and second gear and a lot of third gear are absolutely worthless. You can't do anything. The car will sit there and do the equivalent of a fuel cut as soon as you get into the throttle. You get into the throttle and you expect to ride out a slide and it'll just and it'll just cut the power on you. So now you've taken your high horsepower fun car and you've absolutely just cut its balls off. They're gone. You cannot use that car.
Yeah. And that cuts into the podcast. I guess it was the last podcast we did where we talk about car culture dying as a result. I mean, the value is not there in any way as we go into the future. I'm not saying right now, but if we keep on this trajectory towards the future of just being more and more regulated and monitored and enslaved into technology,
Mhm.
the value's not going to be there. The car's going to cost too much. It'll have big, gaudy numbers and statistics, but the fun level's not going to be there. The freedom level's not going to be there. You're going to be stuck into all the technology that you bought. So the enthusiasts are going to play with the older analog cars and they're going to buy newer utility cars, a family car, a crossover, a truck. Although even trucks aren't what they used to be. I mean, that's another point for another day. But like, or they're going to go to other areas where they are free. People yearn for freedom. When you overregulate and you restrict people and you make them feel like they're can't do anything, they're going to go to where they can. They're going to go to where they have space. Boats, side by sides, the woods, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like wherever the cops are not, wherever the weenies are not, that are not, you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. It's a frustrating situation. You guys pay attention because I feel like it's all just really getting distorted. Like where do you cross the line in protecting and serving? Are you protecting and serving by basically pirating people on the road and pulling them over and giving them tickets? Because Georgia, they came out and said for the next 30 days we're going to be ticketing the shit out of y'all. Basically, is what they
Yeah.
said. We're going to be monitoring the roads for your safety. I'm like, if you want to do something for my safety, train these assholes that cannot drive. That would be great for my safety. Make better roads. You were talking about the Autobahn. The Autobahn is a vastly superior road. That's why you can go faster on it. Germany, Europe, they have better tech, and you have to have a car that's worthy of being on it. Like we don't do that. I mean, you see the cars that people drive around here. Let's just call them Altimas. They're dangerous as shit. And it always seems like the most dangerous ones are the ones going the fastest. Like there is, and so somebody in government realizes, hey, we can capitalize on this. You know what I mean? Like let's make people quote unquote safer by putting up a speed camera that just zaps everybody going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit and generate revenue. That's not keeping anybody safe.
See, that is the part that pisses me off the most is we are being taxed under the guise of safety.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most infuriating part because I mean, God, we're taxed everywhere else in life. The one thing, the American dream to go out and just enjoy the road and have fun, you're now getting taxed on that too,
Yeah.
just to go out and drive.
Well, I'm not trying to get like political. At least in my age, my coming of age, I feel like this all started post 9/11. It was, hey, for your safety, just deal with this or give up a little bit of this freedom. And we were like, absolutely, because we were unified at that point. But now it's really distorted. Now it's for your safety, take this, do this, wear this. And you've lost the trust. So now the people are like, well, you know what? Fuck you. I'll take my chances. I'll be in charge of my own safety. And really, that's the best way to do it because who's more concerned about your safety than you are? If you have intelligence in your head, you should be concerned about your own safety and you can judge what your safety is. So, you know what I mean? Like speed, as we've said already a couple of times, is a factor. It's not the factor. You can be very dangerous at 5 miles an hour. You can be very safe at 80 miles an hour. You can't blame speed. I know everybody these days is just looking for the simple answer, but like it's not it. It's a complicated answer. It's training, good judgment, intelligence, capable vehicles, not distraction. That's the answer. That's what we have to try and work laws around.
Yeah. All right. So here's the fun part. If you were in government right now in the United States of America, how would you fix the driver problem, the driver skill problem? I know what I would do. A lot of people are not going to like it. What would you do?
Uh, I mean, you put me on the spot, but I would I would mandate more drivers training. I think that our drivers test is a joke. Even back when I got my license, it was a joke. The hardest thing was a parallel park.
Yeah.
Is that even really relevant? You know what I mean? Like
No.
what you need to honestly have, you need to have skid pads, you need to have aggressive lane changes, you need to have threshold braking. They need to cross the line. And that includes the 16-year-old. It includes the 70-year-old lady. And this is where it gets tricky. And this is where it gets rough. But again, driving is not a privilege. Or I'm sorry, it is a privilege. It's not a right. Would
Yeah,
you
there you
want an untrained pilot flying you across the country? The answer is no. So you have to make some hard calls. If somebody is not capable of doing the job, then there's public transportation. And there's good public transportation. And there's Uber. And there's and maybe we could talk about, if I was a lawmaker, bettering public transportation. But if you want to be able to have the freedom to drive at your own discretion, you need to meet certain requirements. There is twice as much population as there was, 20 years ago? I don't know if that's accurate, but it's roughly accurate. And it's not going to go down. So it's not the 50s anymore where there's a small town of 1,000 people driving on a dirt road. Like it's serious. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I would say start there. And I would also tell anyone listening to get it in their head and start telling people that speed is only a factor and not the whole story whatsoever. We've been brainwashed into thinking speed kills. Hell, my wife is crossing over that threshold now. where she's thinking speed is dangerous, and I'm like, no, 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 it's not me going fast. It's those freaking idiots over there that are unpredictable. That's where the danger is. I think most people can see that, but I think eventually you just, start to think that speed's the culprit.
Yeah.
So y'all go tell your mamas that they're full of shit, and that it's their inability and the other people's inability to react and have natural reflexes for drive. It's just like on a mountain bike. I've been riding mountain bikes long enough to where when it twitches, you know how to save it. You do it
Hmm.
instinctually, and 15 years ago I'd have been on my ass, but now I just go whoo, and you get a little chill, but you're good. You keep going. You know what I mean? Like people need to have that kind of seat time for driving, and they absolutely don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
we
Nice.
don't even tell them how to set their mirrors. Like we do nothing as a government. We do nothing
Yeah.
to train people whatsoever. I used to work at Panos Racing School when I was in college. That was at the time the racing school at Road Atlanta, and we would take teenagers out there and teach them those things that I mentioned: threshold braking, aggressive lane changes, skid pads, autocrosses, things like that, to give them some basic skills going forward. And part of what we had to teach them at the beginning was literally how to set mirrors, because people don't know. If you
Yeah.
get into most regular people's cars that are not enthusiasts, they have those mirrors so turned in it's practically looking right back at them. Like,
Yeah.
better training would be my answer. Thank you for your time.
You have my vote, but I would take it a step further.
Mhm.
I definitely think it all starts with better training, stricter testing, and I think segmented testing on different things to get. I think we should take it a step further, man. And I guess what I think most people will dislike about what I'm about to say is probably the word that I'm going to use, because it's probably not the right word. It has a bad historical connotation, but I think we should do like a caste system when it comes to driving. So I think that you should have to do, and you could do this over the span of weeks if you wanted to, but the driving test needs to be done in segments. Can you drive around a parking lot? Cool, that's number one. Can you drive on just a back road with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit? Cool, that's two. Okay, can you get on a decently busy road going through a downtown area? Cool. What about highway driving? Okay, take it a little further, then let's start doing this stuff on racetracks. Hey, it'd be great, because if you can go and get a bunch of people out there who want to get like their A plus 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 premium subscription style driver's license, let them go on a racetrack and really prove themselves out there that they can be safe and fast and good to the car. And let's give them like a score. Treat it like college or high school, where you're like, out of 100, you got like an 87, so you're pretty good. But you make it a caste system, and you make it to where if you did shit on your driver's test and you prove that you have no business being on the highway, you're only allowed in the right lane, the furthermost right lane. You can't get over at all. You're stuck there in the blue zone or the green zone, whatever you want to call it. And everybody has a driver's license plate that basically shows what class of driver you are. And I think it'll be one of those things where it's almost like it becomes a point of like pride for the people who are good at it and shame for the people that suck at it. And what happens when you shame people enough? Well, either they give up or they actually find their sack and they become better. Either way, you're making the roads safer. I think
Yeah.
that would be an awesome way to do it.
Well, I think a big problem with this country in general right now, and it obviously applies to our driver ability, is you can't cater to the lowest. It's like you said, we have to set something up that makes people strive to be better. You can't just it's the whole everybody gets a trophy thing, and it doesn't work. You can't slow humanity down to meet the lowest common denominator. You have to get that common denominator up. You have to raise the curve. I think I don't know how you would implement a tier system, but I think that the concept of like different tiers of license is something that should maybe be looked at. I know that now, like for example, when a police officer rolls up behind you and runs your plate, they see it all. So they
Mm,
see, if you've had a couple DUIs in the last 5 years, they, I mean, they've got a picture of you, a mental picture, and it's going to play into them pulling you over. And if if you have a taillight out or something, that could be all the catalyst it needs to be. And I don't know if that's truly fair or not because you're making judgments of somebody based on their past. But if you had a tiered license system and you had like I don't know level 3 of 3, when they run that license plate they're going to go, okay, I mean he's speeding, he's all right though, you know what I mean, like I don't see any problems on here, he's got class 3, he's a good driver, he's qualified, he's done the course or whatever, like leave him alone. If somebody else is speeding 15 miles an hour over and they got like class 1, that could be a problem that you might need to pull them over and see what's up, you know what I mean. um so with the way technology is going, a tiered system that would help, cops try and make better judgments before they just pull people over. I think, dude, especially, I mean, I don't know if I can say this, but it's just a hunch, just a thought. I think that a lot of times cops will pull over decent human beings because they don't want to mess with the bullshit. You know what I mean? Like they see somebody decent and they just go, that's an easy ticket, man. Pull him over, I'll get the ticket. He'll probably thank me for it, and I'll be on my way.
yeah.
Versus when you pull over just the shittiest scum of the earth, God damn, that's going to be a headache. You're going to have to. They're not going to have answers. Their breath's going to stink. You're going to have to take them to jail for freaking warrants and all this kind of stuff. And I think a lot of them in this day and age of police brutality and all that, and they just don't want to screw with it. They just go, screw it. Screw it. I am not dealing with that. I don't get paid enough. And what does that do? That just creates more dangerous situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Very true.
I don't know. I don't know, man. That's about all I got to say about that.
Yeah. All right. I thought it was a pretty interesting topic. Glad we tackled it. Take us
Yeah.
home.
All right. Well, whatever. With that, then, if you guys don't already have the S3 Magazine app, please get that. It's free. We don't spam you. Everything we send you is interesting and cool. And other than that, s3mag.com, be sure to check that out. And I figure you're probably already there if you're watching this, but maybe not. So check out s3mag.com and drive safely.